Hello friends, this is Tony Figueroa. It's been quite a long time since I've made a video talking about my artwork and my publishing plans, but hey, let's get right into it. This first piece is my attempt at a Doc Savage. I gave him regular hair, not the James Bama skull cap type of hair that he's most identified with. And I do love that version too, especially when painted by Bama, but I wanted to just try something a little bit different. And then continuing on with the Man of Bronze, this is another piece, another drawing of Doc Savage, this time with, again, the regular hair. There he is in all his torn shirt glory. And this was one I took from inspired by a photo of Steve Holland, who was the model for a lot of the James Bama, or I think all of the James Bama Doc Savage paperback covers. And just thought I'd take a shot at it. This next piece was designed for a story idea that I have, I'm still tinkering with, called Incursion. It just briefly involves an invasion by a parallel Earth, but it's a very quiet invasion, like Quinn Martin's The Invaders. And the gentleman in the center there throwing the punches is the protagonist. His name is James Brent. And then this piece is more in the fantasy vein. I've loved fantasy art for quite a long time. My first exposure to it was on paperback covers. I would go to these hole-in-the-wall mom and pop used bookstores in my hometown of Brooklyn, New York, and just marvel at these covers drawn by Frazetta, Boris Vallejo, Michael Whalen, Gray Morrow, so many other luminaries that I'm leaving out. And there was also a British gentleman named Chris Achilleos, I believe, who did a lot of the Doctor Who paperbacks as well. Just beautiful stuff. And then I was watching the movie Troy with Brad Pitt and Eric Bana, and I just liked the aesthetic of the uniforms that they had. And I just figured I'd take a swing at it and just sort of draw my own version of it. And there it is. And then we have, let's see, another drawing I did with a similar aesthetic. Just two warriors fighting on another planet, hence the two planets right there. This is done 11 by 17 copy paper. All of my layouts are done on 11 by 17 copy paper. The blue lines are a perspective grid, perspective being the technique that enables you to create an illusion of depth. Because when you're doing a drawing, you're basically dealing with a two-dimensional surface. You're trying to trick the eye into perceiving 3 dimensions, but at any rate, there it is. This could be traced and inked, but I'm just going to let it lay for now. This is another more recent fantasy-oriented piece. Warrior versus some monsters, and there's a castle in the background, and it's a triangular-shaped composition, inspired very much by Frank Frazetta. And this is a character I created called Emeka the Unbreakable. Essentially just a fantasy character, really. I do have a story and sort of a cast built around him as well. Listen, this is not an issue of political correctness or anything like that, but, if you look at the field of fantasy, people of color do tend to be underrepresented in it, and I thought, hey, why not have a black superhero? Just simple as that, And then this is the traced off, inked, and colored version of what I just showed you there. That's pretty much it. There's Emeka in action. And then moving right along, I have another fantasy piece, again done on 11 by 17 copy paper. And this time I wanted to do an image that was more diagonally oriented. Instead of vertical, I have a tendency to draw very vertically. And, by putting things at a diagonal, what happens is you sort of increase the drama, the action, the visual interest. Other than that, it's a very simple composition. And then here, what I did was trace it off onto a piece of Bristol board and ink it. Those white lines are a gel pen. And then the rest was inked with a Pentel brush pen, microns, and colored with colored pencil and Prismacolor markers as well. And I resorted to the Jack Kirby technique that you can see right there. What I did was the point of impact of the blow is creating a light source, and the rest of it is just follows that. So there it is. And then moving right along, here's the first piece of a mecha that I actually did. This is a color version. It's just a mecha in action. He's fighting some monsters. A guy dressed as a monster. Again, there's a story behind all this, but I don't want to get into all that right now. This background was done with acrylic ink and markers, and I didn't ink it with a black line just to experiment and see if I could create a sense of depth. Because the foreground images are very sharp, they're inked with a black line. Obviously, there's a lot of detail there, but I wanted less detail as your eye moves further into the picture. So, and there's a Mecha the Unbreakable swinging away. And then we have the pencils of the image as you showed you, and I'll put this next to it just for a little bit of contrast. You can see the two pieces there side by side, and this is the pencils. Again, lavishing a lot of attention on the anatomy because I think that if you're going to do this kind of artwork, it should be as rendered as possible. So there you have what I've been up to lately. I hope that you found this entertaining. I hope to produce more videos soon. And here's some of the people that are keeping me company. El Santo, Big Van Vader, Mano Negra, and I'm not really sure who this is supposed to be. And the ever-present cup of coffee, and there's some tools in the background. Well, look, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.